Welcome to Igniting the Home Fire Within, the 6 R's to Connection, Training Session 2. I'm Coralie Gaudry. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, and pay respects to the elders, past and present, and extend respect to the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people here today. I'd like to acknowledge the knowledge keepers on the land on which we gather, and pay respects to the wisdom and teachings offered as gifts for this training, past and present. Extend gratitude and respect to First Nations, Métis, and Inuit elders and knowledge keepers. So training session 1, just a quick summary and review. I don't know, some of you might have taken these trainings back to back. Some of you, it may have been a little while, so we'll just do a quick review. So the first 3 R's to connection, realize. It was all about educating yourself, reading, listening, watching as much as you can. Don't expect that it's other people's responsibility to educate you. Seek out learning opportunities. Learn as much as you can. Recognize. That's really about accepting feedback and being reflective on yourself. Allow yourself to feel uncomfortable with not knowing things. Welcome it as an opportunity to self-reflect on the words of others while remaining open-minded. Challenging your old ways of thinking and being. And it's really about being humble. Accepting that you'll never be an expert in this area, that there's always room to grow, and there's so much more to learn. Work toward becoming a humble and respectful learner. We'd also talked about resisting trauma. Many people get upset or defensive when we ask about privilege, when we are asking you to own your privilege and help others understand how their privilege can impact youth either positively or negatively. We talked about being a good ally. Act on it. Being a good ally means taking a risk and standing up for things that you know to be good and true. Speak the truth even when it's hard, and it means not allowing others to continue to perpetuate negative stereotypes or attitudes. Responding in culturally safe and trauma-responsive ways is important for connection with youth. It requires us to act in ways that value culture and allow culture to guide activities with the youth, even if it's outside our own comfort zone. It requires effort to fully integrate the knowledge that we've learned so far in this training. And realize is to gain understanding and that truth of history. So respond. The 4th R to connection. So ensuring physical safety is the most important response to establishing a connection with youth. Everyone has a different comfort zone with space and in different environments. Think about yourself and the environments that you feel safe. What does your behavior look like? And how is it different when you don't feel safe? Paying attention to be able to, read the situation and body language. Physical safety can be space, location, environment, and people. I was working with a youth one time who loves sports. Excuse me. We'd go to the gym, we'd play basketball and other sports, and the youth always wanted to go there and, was excited when we'd get there. But we'd be there for a little while, 3, 5, 7 minutes sometimes, maybe a little bit longer. And I'd pay attention to some body language, and I would notice that there seems to be a difference in body language, and the youth would become quieter and less engaged and just really seemed to be uncomfortable. And would basically ask, if there's anything wrong. And oftentimes the youth would say no. And, basically what I had to do at that time was really respond to the sense of safety, helping that child feel safe in the moment. And so, we would oftentimes, would find a different activity to do or move on from the activity where I could notice the youth's behavior change and more open and relaxed and comfortable. But it took several weeks for that to go by. And, eventually the youth told me that love the gym, absolutely love the gym, But also once they got there, they also realized that the school gym that they were in, also was a place where family funerals were held in the community, and that their Kukampasto funeral was there. And so it was really hard, even though I really loved basketball and wanted to be there. Once we got into that physical space and that environment, it had a different meaning for that youth that I was working with. And so just recognizing that physical safety, sometimes is about the environment, but also past experiences. And what we can do as mentors is we can, pay attention to the body language and the other signs that we're seeing, because emotional safety is important. And that emotional safety is about how comfortable the youth feel to express themselves and to share information with you. So it took a little while, it took a couple of weeks for that youth to feel comfortable enough with me to have that emotional safety, to communicate their own comfort zone, to be authentic, and for them to show you who they really are. It also means, them feeling safe from feeling judged. So even in that instance, being able to pay attention to the youth's cues, even though they weren't verbal, I think helped build that emotional safety so that the youth felt more comfortable to tell me later, rather than just ignoring the cues that I was seeing in the moment. Youth that I've worked with oftentimes have experienced that judgment and sometimes rejection from systems, other adults, or even other youth from where they come from. And I tell you, these youth can pick up a judgment from a mile away. So just, be aware of what you say and the tone of voice that you're using when you talk to the youth. Responding in safe ways, physically, our own body language, and emotionally. Igniting action. Responding is an action that requires deliberate intent. It's a thoughtful process of establishing trust and mutual connection. Building trust requires us to be authentic and vulnerable as well. It's okay to be uncomfortable. Sometimes that's hard for us adults, but it is okay to be uncomfortable. Speak your own truth and be open to hear others without judgment. Follow through on your commitments. Your words matter to the youth, and sometimes youth are used to others breaking it. If you can't follow through on something, make sure the youth understand why and that it's not because of them. Checking in on how they're feeling and recognizing that it might be different than you. You might think the activity is great, but do they? Good example, basketball. I was having a great old time. I was giving her playing basketball. But then I needed to pay attention to the youth. And I think the youth also seen me enjoying it with them. And so the first couple times when I asked, did they say right away that they weren't feeling super comfortable? No, but I could read their body language, and I needed to pay attention to their body language in that moment. So be aware of the environment and the reactions of youth. Listen and respond. Kind of how I was mentioning in my story before. So mutual connection. Connect with youth as equals. Recognizing and knowing that power and privilege play a part. So try to connect with them as equals, respect them and understand them. Offer exchange of your own stories. That's really what creates a natural connections. So rather than grilling them all about who they are, also, let them know a little bit about who you are as well. Because that mentoring relationship, it really is a two-way street. And youth will want to know you too. Try not to assume because they're youth that they can't offer you the exceptional experiences of connection and learning as well. Some of my best learnings really have come from out of the mouths of youth. Look for similarities in their relationships instead of differences. Be mindful of how you speak and act and how that might impact the youth. If you're a loud talker like I am, sometimes I can see the impact that has on others, and I need to respond differently. If you're talking negative about everything, they will also. So just recognizing, right, what comes out of our mouth and the way that we talk. Youth who have experienced their own trauma, they might want to test you a bit, test the waters to see if they can trust you and see how you're going to respond. Are you going to respond in safe ways for them? So be truthful with them, be calm, and always try to be respectful in your interaction with them. Igniting action means responding in ways that youth feel like their voice and opinions matter. And they're going to be more likely to develop a connection with you that way. Recognize and validate their strengths and experiences, and support their ability to speak for themselves rather than speaking for them. It's important to not just talk over them or speak for them without their permission. Ask them first if they're not comfortable to speak for something. Because guess what? They may want to speak for themselves. Sometimes they don't speak up right away. I had a youth that I was working with and kept, I'd ask if they wanted to do things or how they're feeling or different things. I got the continuous, I don't know. Eventually, though, I built up the trust and provided that non-judgmental approach for them, that they could feel that emotional safety, that I wasn't going to judge them, that I was looking for, their opinion and that it mattered. And they started sharing their opinions and ideas. And eventually, and they had some great ones, absolutely fantastic ones. And I was just happy, just be there to be supportive of them. And eventually this one youth that I'm thinking of in particular, she went on from being an I don't know, to recognizing her own strengths and gifts. And one of her talents was writing songs, just phenomenal in writing songs. And she went on because she had, I think, some belief in herself and, that support from others. She went on to creating her own songwriting group and not only sharing her songs, but also supporting others to share their voice in their songs too. So it was pretty wonderful. So supporting, you're supporting them to develop those new skills and supporting them to speak for themselves, build their own groups, things that they want to do. So respond, stoke the long fire. How do you continue your ongoing journey? So let's start with the activity worksheet. It's a matching exercise in your activity guide. The fifth Arctic connection is resiliency. In Canada, Indigenous ideas of resilience are often different than Western culture. Resilience is connected to cultural values, language, community, and traditions that have persisted despite historical actions to erase Indigenous identities and cultures. Resilience is more than just the internal qualities that exist inside the person, but it's more seen in relation to kin, to family, and community. Resiliency is related to the connections to kin, to their community, and to the land. Its ability to handle daily struggles and community hardships, such as loss of elders and other events that affect the entire community. Personal strengths cannot be separated from the community resilience. They're one and the same. Often resilience is found in connecting with others in similar situations, right? As you'll see in the video. Community resilience includes having strong cultural identity, a sense of belonging, and trust among members. It also includes the ability to live among different worldviews and adapting to changing environments in the modern world. So having to leave their communities for larger urban centers and having to adapt and to change, and the ability to be able to do that, or to be able to carry customs and traditions and ceremonies when having to leave their communities or differences. Resilience is built from having hope for the future, a sense of meaning and purpose in the roles of your family, in the community, and in the world. So it's really being able to know that you matter in the world and that you matter to others, or you can contribute something to your world. And having belonging, feelings of belonging, that you belong in your community, that you belong with the other people within your community, within your family, within your peer group. It's really about sense of belonging and connection to the land, connection to community, connection to others, connection to things that are greater than themselves, and knowing that everything is connected. So Ignite Action, what does it mean to support resiliency? Support the youth by fostering their hopes and goals for the future. Supporting them to strengthen their coping skills and seeing themselves as having something to contribute in the world, and really engaging them in different ways that they know that they are also decision makers, not just us as adults, but that they also know that they're decision makers. Encourage the aspirations of youth by making space, I guess, for them to contribute and benefit from. Sometimes we get used to doing for, but just holding that space for them to contribute in ways that matter to them, their peer groups, and also that they have a part to play in their community, and that they contribute to their community. Local values and traditions are a source of strength that many communities have retained or are reclaiming now. Reclaiming those traditional teachings, the connection to the land, the language, and the ways traditionally that people related to each other, kin related to each other. Ensuring that youth have a voice in shaping their cultural identity and strategies for empowerment that can contribute to their own resilience. Focus on their strengths. They're gonna probably already be hard on themselves. So focus on their strengths, and it takes skill. It takes skill to find strengths in some investigation sometimes. Focus on the strengths, the ability, and the potential. Like the girl I was talking about, knowing that she had potential to start her own songwriting group, as opposed to their problems, deficits, issues, or barriers. They're going to know those well enough already. Interact with youth with curiosity to uncover their uniqueness and their strengths and expertise. Because guess what? Everyone is a learner and a teacher. So we can learn, and they can also be our teachers too. Find ways to foster the connection with youth, with the land, and their own identities. So in the guidebook, in the activity guide on the resiliency worksheet, I want you guys to watch a music video. There's a beautiful music video out of Onion Lake, Saskatchewan here. And I'd like you to watch the video and take note as you're watching the video of the community strength. So that's the larger circle, and the resiliency that is seen and felt throughout the video. So the community resiliency and strength is in the larger circle, and the individual resiliency and strengths is in the smaller circle. So finding the resiliency and strength of the youth and community you work with will directly impact your ways of being and connecting with youth.
to press. She knows the world is dark, but she could be the fire and brighten up the path to all of her desires. She no longer cares what anybody thinks. She'll focus on herself. She really wants to sing. Uses all her strength so she can finish the fight to be young, happy, and fine living her life.
Road is long, life is short. There's more to us. When we're young, we ignore the morning comes. We just want to be young and happy. We just want to show what we can be.
A young girl looking for commitment, wakes up to make up, her skin is always hidden. She gets attention but rushes too fast. She finally meets a boy but they become a newsflash. He sees her, he needs her, eventually he leaves her, and now she is forced to be her only daughter's keeper. But found happiness in keeping her child. It's her world, it's her purpose, it's the reason she smiles.
Silent cries and broken hearts, singing, where can she be? Her life has been in the dark. It took away all her dreams. So I'll raise my voice and honor the missing. Wipe away your tears. The angels are listening. This long life is short. There's more to us. When we're young, we ignore the morning comes. We just want to be young and happy. We just want to show what we can be. He was misunderstood, a boy who lost his way, been caught so many times, took off in the rain. He was homeless for a while. An old lady came to say that he could live a better life, and it's never too late.
So he turned home to find his heart again. He was met with open arms from his guardian. He see his old friends drinking and partying, while traditions have risen, his spirit and the spark within. He used to be a dancer, practicing ceremonies. Now he's smudging, praying, hoping he keeps the focus. He found a new faith, walking the better path. He wants to do great, so he'll forever dance.
The road is long, life is short. There's more to us. When we're young, we ignore the morning comes. We just want to be young and happy. We just want to show what we can be. We just want to be young and happy. We just want to show what we can be.
Who stoke the long fire? How do we continue our journey? It's important as mentors that we reflect on our own resilience and our resourcefulness. As mentors of the children and youth, our ways of being and doing are taught to them, whether we realize it or not. Our own resiliency is connected to the youth who surround us. It's important for us to ask ourselves, how do we talk about the world? How do we see ourselves in our own communities and handling our own handling situations in our own ways that can positively reflect on the youth that we care for? So just what are ways that we are resilient ourselves, and how do we share our resiliency with the youth that we're working with? So reconciliation, the 6th R to connection. In 2015, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the TRC, which was set up in 2008 to document the effects of the residential school on Indigenous people. They defined reconciliation as the process of establishing and maintaining a mutually respectful relationship between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people in this country. Senator Murray Sinclair, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission chairperson, stated, for reconciliation to work and for a relationship to be renewed, there must be awareness, acceptance, apology, atonement, and action. So before we can move to genuine reconciliation, we have to start telling the truth about where we are and what we truly understand about First Nations, Métis, and Inuit children in Canada.
It's been just over 2 years since the Truth and Reconciliation Commission released its final report and put forward 94 calls to action. CBC has taken a hard look at how far we've come and how far we have left to go on the road to reconciliation. Senator Murray Sinclair was a Truth and Reconciliation Commissioner and wrote the 94 calls to action. I sat down with him and asked him if Canadians today were better informed about residential schools.
Absolutely. I don't think there's any question of that. I think the question, though, is whether they're more motivated than they were on the day the report was released. And because over time, the energy from events like that tends to wane and drop off. So I think among the public, the public still largely struggles with the question of what can we do about it.
I guess for people that maybe don't know anything about the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, how would you explain it to them?
So Truth and Reconciliation Commission was about giving a forum to the survivors and also to those who had worked in the schools to be able to come together in a process to address what had happened in the schools, but also what had happened in this country.
When you were writing the calls to action, who did you have in mind?
You, young Indigenous people, because I always said at that time in 2015, we were faced with a federal government that had already indicated that through their own actions, not so much through words, but through their actions, that they were unlikely to pick up the calls to action and do anything with them. And in the event that they continued in power, we said that we were writing this for those people who wanted the tools to be able to do something about this. And the phrase I used to use with the staff is that we have to write this for the reasonable.
I know that there's a lot of people that don't believe in reconciliation after Cormier and the Gerald Stanley verdict. What would you say to those people that feel like reconciliation isn't possible anymore?
Well, reconciliation is inevitable. I mean, you're always going to have a relationship with this country, with other people in this country. The question is, what kind of relationship do you want? And if you want to have a relationship of distance, then have a relationship of distance, but just know how to have it.
We've seen all of the headlines about Senator Lynn Bayak. What would you say to people who think that the residential schools didn't have that much of an impact on Indigenous kids?
Well, what I've said to her, and that is that the only way you'll know is to talk to them. And don't talk to them and then ignore what they're telling you and make up stuff, which is what she tends to do. It is about understanding them at a visceral level and imagining what it would be like if you went through that process, or if you can't do that, imagine what it would be like for your children to go through that process, and understand that the process of taking children away for the purpose of indoctrinating them into a different culture is inherently a negative process.
I know that there were criticisms about using the term cultural genocide instead of just genocide. Would you still use that term today?
Cultural genocide is genocide. You know, people need to understand that. And I would continue to use it. I don't think that there's anything wrong with using it. I think it has meaning. And it's more descriptive of what the process was really all about. The schools were not put in place for the purpose of killing the children. The schools were put in place for the purpose of killing the culture in them. And that's what we wanted people to understand. This process and other processes are all about too. The child welfare system does the very same thing because they fail to recognize the importance of that culture to Indigenous children. They think that there is no culture. They've convinced themselves of that without realizing, in fact, that that's a cultural value that they live with.
Only 10 of the calls to action have been completed out of the 94. How do you feel about that?
I'm surprised any have been completed, quite frankly. It's only been 2 years.
How do you think the government has performed in terms of their obligations in the calls to action?
The federal government? Well, they haven't performed very well. I don't think there's any question of that. I think we're beginning to see some change. And in my conversations with government leaders, I always said, you don't have a plan. And we gave you a plan. The TRC calls to action are a plan. Pass a royal proclamation on reconciliation. Create a covenant on reconciliation and invite the provinces and the territories and the First Nations leaders and the Métis leaders and the Inuit leaders and the church organizations, all of whom have contributed to this relationship, to sign the covenant on reconciliation.
What would you say to people who aren't sure of how to get involved in reconciliation? What advice would you have for them?
Well, I always tell them you're already involved, whether you like it or not. This is not this is not an audience sport. You know, reconciliation is a participant sport, and they're already engaged. So the question is, how are you engaged? And how do you want to change your engagement? That's the real question. And when people ask me, what can I do? I will say, well, first of all, read the report. Read the summary at least. I think it's a worthwhile endeavor. And if you can't figure it out after that, read the calls to action and figure out which one of those interests you or which one of those you can do something about. And then do something, because people who can should.
What makes you hopeful for the future?
You and others like you, because you have an interest in making change. You have children, and your children will have children, and we believe in our children. We believe that we have an obligation to make change for our children, and that's what's key. As long as we have that belief in the need to improve the future, then the future will be improved.
Reconciliation, igniting action. So there are individual and community-specific ways to participate in reconciliation. Individual ways involve increasing your own awareness through multiple avenues. Books, documentaries, ongoing conversations with elders and knowledge keepers. It also can mean engaging in reconciliation circles or events, taking further training, exploring conversations, and challenging those racist comments that may be expressed from others. So being able to be in those uncomfortable situations, being the ally. Igniting action really means being willing to sit in those uncomfortable feelings and situations. Refuse to assume that people are just over it, or they should be over it. Be a good ally, challenge that. Ask and listen to youth about their experiences. Don't try to just change the conversation or make this conversation lighter. Sit with them in their experience, whatever it might be. Find ways to become informed, but also be critical of where you're getting your historical knowledge from. Participate in Indigenous events. Support Indigenous organizations, businesses, and artists. You know, we could even do a family historical project on Indigenous history and let it be a hands-on way to learn with your family, to create a wider conversation and support your own family's journey of reconciliation. Stoke the long fire. So if you can turn to your reconciliation worksheet, you can complete the worksheet there. There's also added resources and links in your activity guide to continue your learning. I really suggest, reading the TRC calls to action. Senator Murray Sinclair talked a little bit about it in the videos, but continue your learning. There's opportunity to read more and more full documents as well. Reconciliation, a starting point is a mobile app that's designed to teach about First Nations, Inuit, and Métis history and the contemporary issues through Reconciliation Canada. So that's a really good mobile app that can be used. So the reconciliation worksheet is really about taking the time to list ways to continue on your own reconciliation journey once this training's finished. So we're just about at the end of the training. I just want to say thank you and want to acknowledge that your journey of self-exploration and learning throughout the 2 sessions. We're hoping that you can continue your growth and learning about each other, about the Indigenous, Métis, and our First Nations, Métis, and Inuit youth that you may be working with, to really foster those meaningful connections with them, with their families, with their communities, and even fostering the relationships within your organization and even further across Canada. So thank you for joining us in the training. If we can get you to complete the reflection of knowledge one more time. So the survey is in your guidebook, and it's very similar to the same survey from the beginning. And we're just hoping that you can reflect on the learning from the 2 sessions. And there's also a few evaluation questions that please fill out and share with your organization. So thank you for joining us on this journey.